let's see that how we can develop resources in our MCP servers. For this lecture, I have created a new directory called resource, and I have put a new server.py file in it. In this file, as you can see, I have two functions. One is called getConfig and another one is called getUserProfile. The difference between these two functions is that the second one, getUserProfile, has an input parameter, but the first one, getConfig, doesn't have an input parameter. Since getConfig doesn't have an input parameter, it's called a static resource, but the other one, because it does have an input parameter, it's called a dynamic resource. In general, a resource in MCP is like a get method in an REST API. So we refer to them using a unique resource identifier or URI. And that is why you see that when we use mcp.resourceDecorator, we have used a URI. These URIs don't have to begin with HTTP or FTP or HTTPS. It can be anything, just the format has to be URI. For dynamic resources, all the parameters that appear in your function also has to appear in your URI. Now, when you load this MCP server into an AI assistant tool, those tools use two different endpoints to discover and find your resources. For static resources, they will use resources list. For dynamic resources, they will use resources templates list. Some clients, such as Claude Desktop, never call resources templates list. They always and only call resources list. At least now, maybe in the future, they will support the templates as well. And because of that, if you create a dynamic resource and load it into Claude Desktop, it will not discover your dynamic resources. It will only discover the static resource. So based on the tool, you may or may not be able to use the templated or dynamic resources. Also, as you can see, these two functions don't have annotations. Instead, I have used a title in the decorator to basically explain to the AI that what this resource is doing. You can, as an option, also add description and basically provide more context and information to AI so that they know what this MCP resource does. The rest of it is simple. We have used that before. Again, if you want to return a structured output, you just import Pedantic, you create a class, and then change the return type of your function to that class. It's very simple. Now let's run this and see how it looks. Again, I will change UV to MCP. Unless you have UV and you want to use it, you should change this to MCP and return the arguments up until run. Let's connect. So if I click on this resources, it only finds config, which is the static resource. And as you can see in the history, it made the call to resources list. And then in resource templates, if I click on list templates, you will see that it made a call to resources templates list and then found the one that is dynamic. Now, if you want to run the dynamic one, just click on it, enter a value for user ID, and as you can see, it returns a data. And this data is readable by the client. And the data that resources return always has URI, always has MIME type, and always has a data as the output, and it can be structured or non-structured. Because the MIME type for this one is text plain, the output is text. So resources are basically designed to be used by clients, and also the clients decide and the host application decides how the resource must be used. So this resource, when it's loaded to Claude Desktop, for example, is used in one way, and if you use it into, say, ChatGPT, if that supports this, then it may be used in a different way. So the control of resources is 100% with the host and the clients that it uses to access your resource. You cannot control anything with the resource. And you will use resources to find information such as records in the database, images on the disk, PDF on the disk. Basically what it does is that you have to go find some information from somewhere and then return it.